In the vast emptiness of space, I never imagined a single kiss could ignite a galactic war. I'm Eli, a simple Earth engineer, until she appeared, Lyra, the alien princess with glowing skin and violet eyes. Her lips met mine, claiming me forever, and chaos erupted. In the vast emptiness of space, where stars whispered secrets to those daring enough to listen, I never imagined my life would collide with destiny in such a breathtaking way. My name is Eli, a simple engineer from Earth, stationed on a remote mining outpost at the edge of the galaxy. Life out here was predictable, endless shifts repairing drill rigs under the harsh glow of dual suns, dreaming of home while the void stretched out like an infinite promise. But everything changed the night the stars fell silent and she appeared. It started with a distress signal, faint and erratic, cutting through the static of our comms like a siren's call. I was alone in the control room, nursing a cup of synthetic coffee when the alarms blared. Unidentified vessel approaching, the AI droned, its voice calm as ever. I leaned over the console, squinting at the scanners. The ship was unlike anything I'd seen, sleek organic curves that seemed grown rather than built, pulsing with an ethereal blue light. It wasn't human tech, that much was clear. Pirates? Smugglers? Or something far more exotic. Before I could radio for backup, the vessel docked with a gentle thud that shook the outpost. The airlock hissed open, and in she stepped, Lyra, though I wouldn't learn her name until later. She was a vision from another world, her white hair cascading like moonlight over her shoulders, framing a face of porcelain skin that glowed faintly in the dim lights. Her ears, delicate and pointed like those of ancient elves from Earth's old myths, twitched slightly as she scanned the room. She wore garments of soft, luxurious fur that hugged her curvaceous form, accentuating every graceful movement. Tall and lithe, with eyes like swirling galaxies, deep violet pools that seemed to pull you in, she exuded an aura of royalty mixed with wild, untamed energy. I froze, my heart pounding. Who are you?" I stammered, my voice echoing in the empty chamber. She tilted her head, studying me with a curiosity that felt almost predatory. Without a word, she crossed the distance between us in fluid strides, her presence filling the air with a subtle, intoxicating scent, like wildflowers blooming on an alien plain. "I am Lyra, Princess of Zarathia," she said, her voice a melodic hum that resonated in my chest. It wasn't spoken in English, yet somehow I understood, perhaps some neural translator embedded in her tech. "And you, human, you are the one I've been seeking." Seeking? Me? I was just Eli, a guy from a backwater colony, fixing machines for a living. But before I could protest, she reached out, her fingers cool and soft against my cheek. Time slowed as she leaned in, her lips brushing mine in a kiss that ignited something primal within me. It was electric, a surge of warmth that spread through my veins like starfire, awakening senses I didn't know I had. Her taste was sweet and otherworldly, like nectar from forbidden fruits, and in that moment the galaxy shrank to just us. But as our lips parted, alarms screamed anew, not from the outpost, but from her ship. Red lights flashed, and she pulled back, her eyes widening in alarm. "No," she whispered, glancing at a holographic display that materialized from her wrist. "They've found us." "Who?" I demanded, still dazed from the kiss, my mind racing to catch up. "My betrothed's forces," she replied, her voice laced with defiance. "Prince Kale of the rival empire. Our union was arranged to seal peace, but I refuse it. I've claimed you instead, human. Your spirit calls to me across the stars." Claimed me? The words hung heavy, but there was no time to unpack them. Explosions rocked the outpost as enemy fighters swarmed in, their lasers carving through the void. I grabbed her hand, instinct taking over, and we bolted for the escape pods. "We have to get out of here." As we ran through the corridors, dodging debris from the first blasts, I couldn't shake the thrill coursing through me. This wasn't just survival, it was the start of something epic. Humanity had always been the underdog in the cosmos, scraping by on ingenuity and grit, but here I was, thrust into the heart of an interstellar drama. Lyra's kiss had sparked more than passion, it had ignited a war. We burst into the pod bay, the structure groaning under the assault. "Hold on," I yelled, slamming the launch sequence. The pod ejected into space just as the outpost erupted in flames behind us. Through the viewport, I saw the enemy ships, angular, menacing crafts bearing the insignia of some alien empire, closing in. Lyra pressed against me, her body warm and reassuring in the confined space. "Why me?" I asked, as we hurtled toward the nearest jump point. She smiled, a mix of mischief and sincerity in her violet eyes. "In Zerathia, we bond through essence, souls that resonate. Yours shines brighter than any star I've known. Humans, you're resilient, passionate, not like the cold alliances of my world." Her words stirred something deep inside, a sense of purpose I'd never felt. Back on Earth, we were told aliens were distant, superior beings, but Lyra saw me, as equals, perhaps even heroes. As the pod's engines whined, preparing for hyperspace, I glanced at her. The fur of her attire brushed my arm, soft and inviting, hinting at the mysteries beneath. But danger loomed. The enemy vessels fired warning shots, grazing our hull. "They're hailing us," Lyra said, activating the comms. A holographic figure appeared, a stern alien male with sharp features and armor that gleamed like obsidian. "Princess Lyra, return at once. This human filth is beneath you. Surrender or face the wrath of the Galactic Accord." She laughed, a sound like tinkling crystals. "The accord is broken, Kale. I've chosen my mate. Tell your fleets. War comes if you pursue." The hologram flickered out and silence fell, broken only by the hum of the pod. We jumped into hyperspace, stars blurring into streaks of light. In that fleeting peace, Lyra turned to me, her hand finding mine. "Eli, are you afraid?" "Afraid?" Terrified, I admitted, but with a grin, but excited too. "This is bigger than anything I've known." She leaned closer, her breath warm on my neck. "Then let us face it together. Your kiss. It seals our bond." As the pod stabilized, I realized this was no ordinary encounter. Lyra wasn't just an alien princess, she was a force of nature, and I'd been pulled into her orbit. The war she'd sparked, it was for love, for freedom, and somehow for humanity's place in the stars. Little did I know, this was only the beginning, the chase, the alliances, the battles that would test us both. Hours passed in the pod, the confines forcing us into intimate proximity. Lyra shared tales of Zerathia, a world of floating citadels and bioluminescent forests, where emotions manifested as auras visible to the naked eye. "My people feel deeply," she explained, tracing patterns on the control panel. "But alliances are forged in politics, not passion. That's why I fled to find a true connection." I nodded, sharing my own stories of Earth. The bustling cities, the endless oceans, the unyielding spirit of humans who had colonized the stars against all odds. "We're not perfect," I said, "but we fight for what we love." Her eyes sparkled. "That's why you're perfect for me." As we approached a neutral space station, our temporary haven, the tension built. Scans showed pursuers on our tail, but for now, we were safe. Docking smoothly, we stepped out into the bustling hub, a melting pot of species from across the galaxy. Aliens of all shapes eyed us curiously. Tentacled traders, winged diplomats, and hulking warriors. Lyra's royal bearing drew whispers, but she held my arm possessively, as if declaring me hers. We found a quiet alcove in a dimly lit cantina, nursing drinks that tasted like spiced nebula mist. "What now?" I asked, my mind whirling with possibilities. "Now, we rally allies," she replied. "Zerathia will stand with us, but we need more. Humans have a reputation for ingenuity. Perhaps your people can help." The idea thrilled me. Contacting Earth Command could turn the tide, positioning humanity as key players in this galactic strife. But as we plotted, a shadow fell over our table. A cloaked figure approached, hood obscuring their face. "Princess," they hissed, "the hunters are here." Adrenaline surged. We bolted from the cantina, weaving through crowds as laser fire erupted behind us. I grabbed a discarded tool from a vendor stall, a makeshift weapon, and fired back, my shots precise from years of outpost drills. One pursuer fell, stunned, as Lyra unleashed a burst of energy from her palm, a Zerathian ability I hadn't anticipated. We escaped to the station's underbelly, hearts racing. In a hidden maintenance shaft, we paused to catch our breath. Lyra pressed against me, her body trembling, not from fear, but excitement. "You fought like a warrior," she murmured, her lips inches from mine. In that charged moment, I kissed her again, deeper this time, the world fading away. Her response was fervent, her hands exploring with a curiosity that sent shivers down my spine. The bond she spoke of, it was real, pulling us closer amid the chaos. But the war was just igniting. As alarms blared station-wide, signaling an invasion, I knew our story was far from over. Lyra's claim on me had set the stars ablaze, and together, we'd either forge a new era or burn in the flames. The station shuddered under enemy bombardment, forcing us back into action. We raced toward our pod, but it was compromised. Saboteurs had struck. "We need another ship," Lyra said, her voice steady. Spotting a sleek freighter nearby, I hot-wired the locks with my engineering skills, a human trick that impressed even her. "You're full of surprises, Eli." As we blasted off, evading fighters in a daring maneuver through an asteroid field, I felt alive like never before. Rocks tumbled past, lasers glancing off our shields. Lyra manned the co-pilot seat, her pointed ears perked as she calculated trajectories with innate precision. "We make a good team," I said, grinning through the tension. "More than that," she replied, her hand on my thigh. "We're destined." The jump to hyperspace bought us time, but the galaxy was mobilizing. Whispers of the human who stole the princess spread like wildfire, painting me as a rogue hero. In Zarathia, her people prepared for conflict, while Kale's forces amassed. In the quiet of transit, Lyra shared more about her world. "Our kisses bind souls," she explained. "Yours awakened mine, sparking a chain reaction. The war. It's because my rejection shatters the old pacts." Guilt flickered in me, but she quelled it with a touch. "This is freedom, Eli, for both of us." As we emerged near Zarathia's borders, a fleet awaited, not hostile but welcoming. Her father's armada, grand vessels adorned with crystalline spires. We docked on the flagship, greeted by guards in fur-trimmed armor. "Welcome, consort," a advisor bowed, eyeing me with mild suspicion. Lyra beamed. "He is my chosen." In the opulent halls, decorated with glowing vines and holographic stars, we were ushered to her chambers. Alone at last, the weight of the day lifted. She shed her outer furs, revealing silken undergarments that accentuated her form. "Rest with me," she invited, her voice husky. I hesitated only a moment, drawn by the magnetic pull. As we embraced on the plush bed, her skin against mine felt like silk and fire. The kiss deepened, exploring uncharted territories of desire. Her ears quivered at my touch, a sign of pleasure in her kind. But duty called, a council meeting loomed. Dressing hurriedly, we joined the war room, where holograms displayed enemy movements. Kale's alliance grows, her father, King Thaler, intoned. But with this human's aid, perhaps we innovate. I proposed human tactics, guerrilla strikes, tech hacks that intrigued them. For the first time, aliens saw us not as primitives, but partners. As night fell on the ship, Lyra and I stole moments, our bond strengthening. Her laughter echoed like music, her stories painting vivid pictures of cosmic wonders. Yet, beneath it all, tension simmered. Scouts reported Kale's vanguard approaching. The first skirmish came at dawn. Alarms wailed as we scrambled to battle stations. I piloted a fighter, Lyra beside me in a linked craft. "Stay close," she urged over comms. The void erupted in chaos, lasers crisscrossing, ships exploding in brilliant bursts. I dodged debris, firing torpedoes that crippled an enemy cruiser. Lyra's ship weaved gracefully, her energy blasts disintegrating foes. "They're retreating," I shouted, exhilarated. But victory was short-lived. A massive dreadnought emerged, Kale's flagship. "Surrender the human," his voice boomed. "Never," Lyra retorted. The battle intensified, shields failing under relentless fire. In a desperate move, I rammed a weak point, my ship grazing the hull. Explosions rippled, forcing their withdrawal. Back on board, battered but alive, Lyra tended my wounds. "You saved us," she whispered, her kiss healing more than medicine. As we drifted toward Zarathia's core worlds, the war's flames spread. Alliances formed, humans contacted for aid. My role evolved from accidental lover to strategic hero. Yet, in quiet moments, it was the simple things, her hand in mine, stargazing from the observation deck. "This war is for our future," she said, "and I'll fight for it, I promised." The story was unfolding, each moment building toward an uncertain horizon. But with Lyra by my side, the galaxy felt conquerable. As the flagship hummed through the starlit expanse toward Zarathia's heart, I couldn't shake the electric hum in my veins, a lingering echo of our shared victories and stolen touches. Lyra's presence beside me made every shadow in the corridors seem alive with possibility. Her white hair catching the soft glow of the bioluminescent walls like a halo of forbidden light. We walked hand in hand to her private quarters, the air thick with unspoken promises, the distant rumble of the engines mirroring the quickening beat of my heart. Once inside, the door sealed with a whisper, shutting out the chaos of the War Council and the ever-present threat of Kale's pursuit. The room was a sanctuary of Zarathian elegance, floating orbs casting warm, amber light over silken cushions and vines that pulsed gently like living veins. Lyra turned to me, her violet eyes darkening with an intensity that made my breath catch. "Eli," she murmured, her voice a velvet caress, "in the midst of this storm, you are my anchor. Let me show you the depths of our bond." She stepped closer, her fur-trimmed garments shifting with each movement, revealing glimpses of her porcelain skin that glowed faintly, as if infused with stardust. I reached out, my fingers tracing the delicate point of her ear, feeling it quiver under my touch, a reaction that sent a thrill through me. Her response was immediate, a soft gasp escaping her lips as she pressed against me, her body molding to mine with a heat that belied the coolness of space outside. Our earlier kisses had been sparks. This felt like the ignition of a supernova. Her hands explored my shoulders, sliding down my arms with a deliberate slowness that built an agonizing tension. "Humans are so tactile," she whispered, her breath warm against my neck. "Your skin tells stories of survival, of passion etched in every scar." I pulled her closer, my lips finding hers in a kiss that deepened instantly, tongues dancing in a rhythm that spoke of urgency and surrender. The taste of her was intoxicating, a blend of sweet alien nectar and the faint salt of our shared adrenaline from the battle. As we sank onto the cushions, the world narrowed to the sensation of her curves against me, her white hair spilling like a cascade over us both. She arched into my touch, her fingers deftly unfastening my uniform, exposing my chest to the cool air. "Feel me, Eli," she urged, guiding my hand to the soft fur at her waist, where it gave way to smooth, inviting skin. The contrast was mesmerizing, her alien grace combined with a vulnerability that made her seem almost human, yet infinitely more alluring. I trailed kisses down her neck, eliciting soft moans that echoed in the chamber, each one heightening the suspense of what might come next. But even in this intimate haven, the galaxy's dangers lurked. A subtle vibration rippled through the ship, not the engines, but something external. Lyra paused, her ears perking up, those delicate points twitching like sensors. "Wait," she breathed, her body tensing against mine. I froze, my heart pounding not just from desire but from a sudden spike of alarm. Through the viewport, I caught a flicker, a shadow darting among the stars, too precise to be debris. "Scouts," she whispered, her voice laced with urgency. We disentangled reluctantly, the erotic haze shattered by the need for action. She activated a holographic display from her wrist, revealing faint signatures closing in. "Kale's Vanguard. They're probing our defenses, testing for weaknesses." I dressed quickly, the frustration of interruption fueling my resolve. "We can't let them report back." Grabbing a sidearm from the wall mount, a sleek Zarathian blaster that hummed in my grip, I felt the HFY spirit surge within me. Humans weren't born with energy blasts or soul bonds, but we adapted, we improvised. Lyra nodded, her eyes gleaming with admiration as she donned a lightweight armor weave that clung to her form like a second skin, accentuating every curve in a way that made it hard to focus. We slipped out into the corridors, moving like shadows. The ship was on alert now, crew members hurrying to stations, but we headed for the launch bay, intent on intercepting the intruders before they could strike. The air grew charged, every creak and hum amplifying the suspense. Lyra's hand brushed mine as we ran, a reminder of the passion we'd left unfinished, promising more if we survived. In the bay, we commandeered a stealth shuttle, its hull shimmering with camouflage tech that bent light around us. As we launched into the void, the enemy scouts came into view, 3 sleek drones, darting like predators. "They're automated," Lyra said, her voice steady but her body leaning into mine in the cockpit's close quarters, "but linked to Kale's network. Destroy them, and we buy time." I piloted with precision, drawing on my outpost experience dodging asteroid storms. The shuttle weaved through the debris field left from our earlier battle, the drones pursuing with relentless accuracy. Lasers grazed our shields, sending sparks flying, and Lyra's hand tightened on my thigh, her touch a mix of support and lingering desire. "Closer," she murmured, her breath quickening as I executed a sharp turn, bringing us within firing range. I unleashed a barrage, one drone exploding in a silent bloom of fire. The others retaliated, forcing evasive maneuvers that pressed us together in the confined space. Her scent enveloped me, wildflowers and heat, making the danger feel almost intoxicating. "You're incredible," she said, her free hand tracing my arm, even as she calibrated the weapons. Another shot from her and the second drone shattered. But the third was cunning, looping back to flank us. Alarms blared as it locked on, and in that heart-stopping moment, Lyra leaned over, her lips brushing my ear. "Trust me," she whispered, her voice husky. With a flick of her wrist, she unleashed a personal energy pulse, the shuttle vibrating with the release. The drone faltered, giving me the opening to finish it off. We drifted in the aftermath, the wreckage tumbling away into the darkness. Adrenaline coursed through us, mingling with the unresolved tension from before. Lyra turned to me, her violet eyes smoldering. That was exhilarating. She pulled me into a fierce kiss, her body arching against mine in the zero-gravity drift. Hands roamed freely now, exploring with an urgency born of survival. Her fur garments parted under my fingers, revealing more of her glowing skin, soft and responsive to every caress. In the shuttle's dim light, we floated together, the stars witnessing our passion. Her moans were soft symphonies, her touches igniting fires that burned away the cold of space. "Our bond grows stronger with every trial," she gasped, her pointed ears flushing with color, a sign of her deepening arousal. I lost myself in her, the erotic dance a defiance against the war raging beyond. But as we returned to the flagship, docking smoothly amid cheers from the crew, a new transmission crackled through the comms. Kale's voice, cold and mocking, "You evade for now, human thief, but I've allies you can't imagine. The princess's claim will be your undoing." The words hung like a shadow, injecting fresh suspense into our triumph. Lyra's hand found mine, squeezing tightly. "He's bluffing," she said, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. We hurried back to the war room, where maps showed enemy movements accelerating. Whispers among the advisors spoke of ancient pacts awakening, rival empires stirring at the scent of weakness. That night, in her chambers once more, the erotic pull between us was laced with urgency. We came together again, bodies entwining in a rhythm that mirrored the pulsing stars outside. Her white hair fanned out like a comet's tail, her curves yielding and demanding in equal measure. "Eli, promise me you'll stay," she breathed, her nails grazing my back in gentle trails that sent shivers cascading. "I promise," I replied, my kisses trailing lower, exploring the mysteries of her form. The Zarathian bond amplified every sensation, making our connection feel cosmic, unbreakable. Yet, as pleasure peaked, a distant explosion rocked the ship, a false alarm from a meteor, but enough to remind us of the fragility. Lying entwined afterward, her head on my chest, Lyra traced patterns on my skin. "Kale won't stop. He's jealous, not just of power, but of us." Her voice was soft, but the suspense built in the silence that followed. Scouts reported unusual activity near the borders, shadows of larger fleets amassing. I held her closer, feeling the weight of humanity's role in this. Earth had responded to my call, reinforcements en route, their tech crude but clever. "We'll face it," I said, kissing her forehead. But deep down, the erotic bliss was tempered by the growing storm. What alliances had Kale forged? And how far would this war spread? As dawn broke over the artificial horizon, we rose to prepare, our bond a beacon in the uncertainty. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the next move, and in that suspense, our love burned brighter, a flame that could either illuminate the stars or consume them. As dawn's artificial glow filtered through the flagship's viewports, casting long shadows across the command deck, I stood beside Lyra, our fingers intertwined in a silent vow amidst the mounting storm. The war room buzzed with frantic energy, advisors huddled over holographic maps that flickered with enemy positions, their voices a low murmur of strategy and fear. Kale's bluff, if it was one, had evolved into something tangible. Sensor sweeps revealed anomalies at the edge of Zarathian space, ghostly signatures that hinted at hidden fleets or worse. Lyra's violet eyes met mine, a spark of determination cutting through the uncertainty, but I could feel the tremor in her hand, a subtle reminder that even princesses harbored doubts. "We strike first," King Thaler declared, his voice booming like thunder across the chamber. His regal form, draped in flowing robes embroidered with stellar constellations, commanded respect, yet his gaze lingered on me with a mix of gratitude and wariness. The human's tactics have proven worthy. Eli, lead the vanguard. Show us this ingenuity your kind is famed for. I nodded, adrenaline surging like a tidal wave. This was the climax we'd been hurtling toward, the point where alliances teetered and fates were forged in fire. Lyra squeezed my hand tighter. "I'll be at your side," she whispered, her breath a warm promise against my ear. We moved as one toward the hangar, the ship's corridors alive with the clatter of armored boots and the whine of charging weapons. Crew members saluted us, their pointed ears flicking in respect, but whispers followed. The human consort, the spark of war, the unlikely hero. In the cockpit of our command fighter, a sleek vessel blending Zerathian elegance with human modifications I'd insisted on, we strapped in, the hum of engines vibrating through our seats like a heartbeat. Lyra's white hair was tied back, exposing the graceful curve of her neck, and her fur-accented flight suit hugged her form, a distracting blend of warrior and lover. "Ready?" she asked, her voice steady, but her eyes betrayed a curious glint, as if wondering what surprises the stars held. "Always," I replied, launching us into the void. The fleet followed, a majestic armada of crystalline ships slicing through space like arrows of light. Ahead lay the anomaly, a nebula cloud swirling with unnatural colors, concealing whatever Kale had unleashed. As we plunged in, sensors screamed warnings, energy spikes, gravitational pulls that defied logic. "It's a trap," Lyra gasped, her hands flying over controls. But it was too late. The nebula parted like a curtain, revealing not just ships but a colossal structure. An ancient war machine, a relic from forgotten empires, awakened and weaponized by Kale's forces. Thrills of fear and excitement coursed through me as lasers erupted from the behemoth, carving arcs of destruction. Our fleet scattered, dodging blasts that vaporized scouts in silent explosions. "Evasive maneuvers," I shouted over comms, channeling every ounce of human grit. I piloted wildly, the fighter spinning through debris, Lyra's energy pulses lashing out to shield us. One hit grazed our wing, sending sparks flying, and she cried out, her hand reaching for mine instinctively. In that heart-pounding chaos, a surprising transmission pierced the static, Kale's face materializing on our screen, his sharp features twisted in triumph. "Behold the devourer," he sneered, "a weapon from the old wars, now mine. Your bond ends here, princess. And you, human pest, will watch her fall." The words ignited a dramatic fury in Lyra. "Never," she roared, her aura flaring visible. A Zerathian trait I'd only glimpsed before, enveloping us in protective light. But the devourer loomed larger, its maw opening to unleash a gravitational beam that pulled ships toward it like prey to a black hole. I watched in horror as allied vessels crumpled, their crews' screams echoing briefly before silence claimed them. Curiosity burned. How had Kale unearthed this? Ancient alliances, perhaps, or forbidden tech bartered in the shadows. "We have to board it," I decided, the idea thrilling in its recklessness. Lyra's eyes widened, surprise mingling with admiration. It's madness, Eli, but brilliant. We dove toward the beast, evading turret fire that lit the nebula in fiery bursts. Other fighters covered us, human reinforcements arriving just in time, Earth ships, bulky and unyielding, ramming weak points with improvised explosives. HFY at its core. We didn't have fancy auras, but we had sheer, unbridled tenacity. Docking clamps engaged with a bone-jarring thud, and we stormed aboard, blasters ready. The interior was a labyrinth of pulsating corridors, walls alive with biomechanical tendrils that writhed like serpents. Alarms wailed, and guardians, cybernetic horrors fused from alien flesh and machine, lunged at us. I fired precisely, years of outpost survival guiding my aim, while Lyra's energy blasts disintegrated foes in dramatic flares. One tendril whipped out, wrapping around her leg, pulling her toward a chasm. "Eli!" she screamed, her voice raw with fear. I leaped without thinking, severing the appendage with a vibroknife, catching her in my arms as we tumbled. Our bodies pressed together in the dim glow, breaths ragged, the thrill of near-death heightening every sense. "I won't lose you," I vowed, our lips brushing in a fleeting, desperate kiss that tasted of sweat and stardust. But there was no time for more. The core beckoned, a throbbing heart deep within. Deeper we pressed, the air growing thick with ozone and the curious hum of ancient power. Surprises unfolded. Holographic ghosts of long-extinct warriors appeared, warning of the Devourer's curse. A weapon that fed on souls, twisting bonds like ours into weapons. "It senses our connection," Lyra whispered, her hand trembling in mine. Kale must have known, it amplifies jealousy, turns love to destruction. The revelation hit like a thunderclap, dramatic and unforeseen. Kale wasn't just a rival, he was obsessed, using this relic to sever our bond and claim her anew. Thrilling chases ensued through collapsing halls, guardians multiplying as the machine awoke fully. I hacked a console with human code, crude overrides that Zarathians never considered, disrupting systems just enough to buy time. At the core, a vast chamber pulsed with energy, Kale waiting atop a dais, flanked by elite guards. "You dare challenge fate?" he bellowed, his armor gleaming. The battle erupted in a climax of fury. Lasers clashed, energy waves colliding in explosive waves. Lyra dueled Kale directly, their auras clashing like storms, while I flanked, taking down guards with precise shots. One guard charged me, its claws raking my side, pain blooming hot and sharp. I staggered but pressed on, the thrill of survival pushing me beyond limits. In a surprising twist, the Devourer reacted to our bond, its core fluctuating wildly. "It's unstable," Lyra yelled, dodging Kale's strike. I saw the opportunity, human ingenuity striking again. Rigging an overload with scavenged parts, I initiated a chain reaction. "Get clear," I shouted, but Kale lunged, grabbing Lyra in a vice grip. "If I can't have her, no one will." The chamber shook, tendrils lashing out. In a dramatic surge, I tackled Kale, freeing Lyra as explosions rippled. We ran, the machine's death throes chasing us, walls crumbling, guardians disintegrating. Curiosity piqued. Would we escape? The docking bay was collapsing, our fighter barely holding as we blasted free. Behind us, the Devourer imploded in a spectacular nova, waves of energy rippling across space, scattering Kale's fleet. But as we regrouped with the Armada, a final surprise emerged. A distress beacon from the wreckage. Kale's voice weakened. "This isn't over. Allies awaken." Panting in the cockpit, Lyra pulled me close, her body trembling with the aftershocks. "You did it, Eli. You saved us all." Her kiss was fierce, a blend of gratitude and lingering passion, but the thrilling victory was tempered by curiosity about what allies meant. The war had reached its peak, yet shadows loomed larger, promising more drama in the stars. As we docked back on the flagship, cheers erupted, but my mind raced. Earth's forces had turned the tide, proving humanity's worth, but Kale's escape, or survival, injected fresh suspense. Lyra's hand in mine felt like an anchor, yet the galaxy's curiosities unfolded endlessly. What ancient forces had he stirred? The climax had passed, but the thrill of the unknown beckoned, surprising us at every turn. The council reconvened amid the debris field, maps updating with retreating enemies. King Thaler clasped my shoulder. "Human, you've earned your place among stars." Lyra beamed, her violet eyes alight with pride, but a scan revealed anomalous readings, portals flickering open in distant sectors, hinting at invasions from realms beyond. Thrilling whispers spread, legends of elder races, awakened by the Devourer's fall. Curiosity gnawed, were they foes or potential saviors? In private, Lyra and I shared a moment of quiet intensity, her fingers tracing my wounds. "Whatever comes, we face it together," she said, her voice dramatic with resolve. But as night enveloped the fleet, a surprising hologram activated unbidden, a message from an unknown source. "The bond you forged awakens us. Prepare for judgment." The words hung, chilling and enigmatic, propelling us toward new heights of drama. The climax had reshaped the war, but surprises waited in the void, thrilling and unforgiving. As the enigmatic hologram faded into the ether, leaving behind a chilling echo that reverberated through the war room, a heavy silence descended upon the assembled council. King Thaler's brow furrowed deeper than the craters on Zarathia's moons, his advisors exchanging uneasy glances, while holographic displays flickered with frantic scans of those flickering portals. Lyra's grip on my hand tightened, her violet eyes wide with a mix of defiance and unspoken fear, but it was the dramatic weight of those words, "Prepare for judgment," that hung over us like a gathering storm cloud, threatening to unleash chaos on an already fractured galaxy. I could feel the shift in the air, the way triumph soured into trepidation, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. "We must investigate," Thaler commanded, his voice a gravelly rumble that brooked no argument. "Eli, your human perspective has served us well. Join the reconnaissance team. Perhaps your kind's knack for turning disasters into opportunities will unveil what these elder races intend." Lyra stepped forward, her white hair swaying like a banner of resolve. "Father, I go with him. Our bond is what stirred this. We face it together." The king hesitated, his gaze softening on his daughter before nodding curtly. Whispers rippled through the room, some in awe of our union, others murmuring about the folly of letting a primitive human meddle in ancient mysteries. We geared up swiftly, the drama escalating with every passing moment as reports flooded in, the portals stabilizing, emitting pulses that disrupted nearby comms and sent minor shockwaves through the fleet. In the armory, amidst the clatter of energy rifles and shield generators, an awkward situation unfolded that lightened the tension just enough to elicit a chuckle. As I struggled into a Zarathian exosuit, its form-fitting design clearly not tailored for human proportions, the fabric clung in all the wrong places, squeezing my midsection like an over-enthusiastic hug from a giant squid. "This thing is trying to rearrange my insides," I grumbled, hopping on one foot to adjust the leggings. Lyra burst into laughter, her melodic giggles echoing off the metallic walls, drawing stares from the armored guards. "Oh, Eli, you look like a fledgling trying to wear its first plumage. Here, let me help." She approached, her hands deftly smoothing the material, but her touch lingered a tad too long on my hips, turning what should have been a simple fix into a flushed, intimate moment right there in front of the crew. One guard cleared his throat loudly, his pointed ears twitching in discomfort, while another muttered something about human mating rituals invading every corner. I shot Lyra a mock glare, whispering, "Great, now they've got front row seats to my wardrobe malfunction. Thanks for the assist, princess." She winked, her humor a spark in the growing storm. "Consider it motivation to survive. This suit won't forgive you if you don't." Boarding the scout vessel, a nimble craft equipped with cloaking fields and sensor arrays, we launched into the void, the fleet's protective shadow receding behind us. The team was small. A pair of Zarathian pilots, a scholarly advisor named Vex who droned on about elder legends with the enthusiasm of a malfunctioning droid, and us. As we approached the nearest portal, a swirling vortex of iridescent energy that warped space like a funhouse mirror, the drama heightened palpably. Sensors went haywire, readings spiking into impossibilities, temporal echoes, gravitational anomalies that made our stomachs lurch. "It's like flying into a black hole's bad dream," I quipped, trying to inject some levity, but my voice cracked as the ship shuddered violently. Lyra leaned over my console, her body brushing mine in the cramped space, her scent, a heady mix of wildflowers and ozone, cutting through the sterile air. "Stay focused, love," she murmured, but then came another awkward hitch. The portal's pull triggered a feedback loop in the comms, broadcasting a snippet of Vex's earlier lecture on interspecies bonding rituals across the open channel. And thus, the human's tactile nature often leads to enthusiastic displays. His voice boomed just as Lyra's hand rested on my shoulder. The pilots exchanged smirks, one chuckling, enthusiastic indeed. "Shall we give you two some privacy amid the apocalypse?" My face burned hotter than a supernova. Here we were, on the brink of cosmic judgment, and the universe decided to play cosmic comedian. Lyra swatted the pilot's arm playfully. "Jealousy doesn't suit you, Rix. Focus on not getting us sucked into oblivion." The humor diffused the edge, but the drama pressed on, unyielding. Plunging through the portal felt like being reborn in fire, colors inverted, time stretched, and a chorus of ethereal voices whispered indecipherable judgments in our minds. We emerged in an uncharted sector, stars unfamiliar and a massive structure looming ahead. A colossal citadel, ancient and crystalline, orbiting a dying sun. It pulsed with life, scanners detecting biosignals that dwarfed entire fleets. The elders, Vex breathed, his scholarly poise cracking into awe. But drama struck swiftly. An energy beam lanced out, not destructive, but probing, locking our ship in a tractor hold and reeling us in like a caught fish. Docked forcibly in a vast hangar that dwarfed our vessel, we disembarked into an environment that screamed otherworldly grandeur. Walls etched with glowing runes, air humming with harmonic frequencies that set my teeth on edge. Awkwardness peaked as we were greeted, not by warriors, but by luminous beings, ethereal figures that shifted between forms, one moment humanoid, the next swirling mists. Their leader, a towering entity with eyes like black holes, addressed us in a voice that echoed in our souls. The bonded ones arrive. Your union disturbs the weave of fate. Lyra stood tall, but I could see the subtle quiver in her pointed ears. We seek understanding, not conflict, she replied diplomatically. The entity gestured, and suddenly, holographic illusions enveloped us, replaying moments from our story. Our first kiss igniting the war, intimate escapes in shuttles, the devourer's fall. It was like having our most private memories broadcast on a galactic screen, and the humor in the awkwardness hit when one illusion zoomed in on my exosuit struggle from earlier. Behold the humans. Ritual of preparation, the entity intoned seriously, as if it were a profound ceremony. The pilot snorted, Vex adjusted his robes uncomfortably, and I buried my face in my hands. Oh, come on, that's not fair. Pick a better highlight reel. Lyra elbowed me, stifling a laugh. At least they captured your heroic hopping technique. But the levity evaporated as the drama intensified. The elders revealed their judgment. Our bond, while pure, had rippled through cosmic threads, awakening dormant threats, including Kale's hidden alliances with shadow empires. To atone, the leader declared, you must undertake a trial. Retrieve the Nexus core from the Forbidden Nebula, a relic that balances love and war. Fail, and your union unravels, sparking eternal conflict. The stakes skyrocketed, our love on the line, the galaxy's peace hanging by a thread. Curiosity about the core gnawed at me. What power did it hold? And why us? Released with coordinates and a cryptic warning, we blasted back through the portal, the ship's systems groaning under the strain. En route, awkward tensions simmered in the confined quarters. Vex, ever the scholar, launched into a lecture on the core's legends, but his enthusiasm led to a humorous blunder, activating a faulty hologram that projected exaggerated versions of elder myths, including one where a brave warrior comically tripped over his own feet, mirroring my suit fiasco. See, even ancients had off days, I joked, easing the crew's nerves. Lyra pulled me aside in a quiet alcove, her body close, whispering, this trial, it scares me, Eli. But with you, even the awkward parts feel right. Our kiss was brief but charged, a spark amid the drama. Arriving at the Forbidden Nebula, a maelstrom of gas clouds laced with electromagnetic storms, the real test began. Navigating required pinpoint precision. One wrong move, and we'd be ionized. Drama peaked as lightning arcs lashed out, forcing evasive dives that threw us around like ragdolls. In one heart-stopping moment, a bolt struck our shields, causing a power surge that locked the controls, and hilariously, triggered the ship's entertainment system to blare an old Earth tune I'd uploaded for fun. A cheesy love ballad about star-crossed lovers. Not the time for serenades. Lyra laughed through gritted teeth as we wrestled the helm, the lyrics crooning about eternal bonds while chaos reigned outside. Deeper in, we located the core, a glowing orb suspended in a vortex, guarded by spectral sentinels that materialized from the mist. The battle was dramatic frenzy. Energy blasts clashing, our ship weaving through guardians that shifted shapes unpredictably. I manned the guns, human reflexes dodging what Zarathian tech couldn't predict, while Lyra channeled her aura to disrupt their forms. One sentinel latched on, its tendrils infiltrating the hull, causing an awkward system glitch that vented non-essential compartments, including the galley, spewing zero-grav snacks everywhere. Incoming protein bars of doom. I yelled, swatting a floating ration pack as it bounced off my helmet. The pilots howled with laughter, even as we fired back, the humor a lifeline in the turmoil. In a climactic surge, we snagged the core with a tractor beam, but the vortex collapsed, pulling us in. Alarms wailed, gravity inverting, and in the chaos, Lyra and I clung together, her curves pressed against me in a desperate embrace. If this is it, she gasped, no, I regret nothing. I kissed her fiercely, pouring every ounce of human passion into it, as I jury-rigged an overload to propel us free. The ship burst out, core in tow, trailing nebula debris like a victorious comet. Back with the fleet, presenting the relic to the elders via a summoned portal, their judgment shifted. You have balanced the scales, the leader intoned, the core absorbing into the void, stabilizing the rifts. But drama lingered, Kale's forces, bolstered by shadows, massed for a final assault. Awkward relief washed over us as the elders departed, leaving a parting gift. Enhanced bonds for our alliance, but with a humorous caveat, a holographic manual on proper interspecies etiquette that popped up at inopportune times, like during strategy meetings. As we prepared for the impending battle, Lyra and I stole a moment on the observation deck, stars swirling outside. That trial was absurd, I said, chuckling at the memories. But it proved us unbreakable. She smiled, her hand tracing my jaw, and endlessly entertaining. Yet the humor faded into resolve as alarms sounded, Kale approaching, the war's true endgame unfolding. The drama heightened, awkward triumphs behind us, but the galaxy's fate still teetered, demanding every bit of our heroic spirit. As alarms blared across the flagship, signaling Kale's advancing fleet like a distant thunder rolling ever closer, the resolve in Lyra's eyes mirrored my own, a shared determination that turned the observation deck serene, starlight into a backdrop for our unyielding partnership. We hurried from the deck, the humor of our recent trials lingering just enough to soften the edges of impending doom. But as we reached her private quarters to grab essential gear, the door sealed behind us with a soft hiss, granting a fleeting sanctuary amid the chaos. The room's ambient glow dimmed automatically, as if sensing our need for a moment's respite, and Lyra turned to me, her white hair framing her face like a veil of moonlight, her violet eyes searching mine with an intensity that spoke volumes beyond words. "Eli," she whispered, stepping closer, her hand still on my jaw from that tender trace moments ago, now sliding down to rest against my chest, where my heart raced not just from the alerts, but from her nearness. "Before we dive into this battle, I need to feel our bond fully, to draw strength from it from us." Her voice carried a husky undertone, laced with the passion that had simmered between us since our first encounter, and in that instant, the galaxy's threats faded, leaving only the magnetic pull drawing us together. I nodded, pulling her into my arms, our bodies fitting seamlessly as if crafted for this very purpose, her curvaceous form pressing against me in a way that ignited a warm, insistent fire within. Our lips met in a kiss that started slow, a gentle reaffirmation of our unbreakable connection, but quickly deepened into something more urgent, more profound. Her pointed ears quivered slightly under my fingertips as I cupped her face, a subtle sign of her growing arousal that sent a thrill through me, reminding me of the unique ways our worlds intertwined. Lyra's hands roamed over my back, tracing the lines of my muscles with a deliberate tenderness, each touch building the anticipation like stars aligning in a cosmic dance. She guided me toward the plush bedding, her fur-trimmed attire whispering against the fabric as we sank down together, the weight of the war momentarily lifted by the intimacy we shared. In the soft light, she shed her outer layers with graceful ease, revealing the smooth, glowing porcelain of her skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, inviting exploration. I followed suit, our clothing discarded in a tangle that spoke of haste tempered by care, and as our bare forms came together, the sensation was electric, a blend of warmth and softness that enveloped us both. Her body arched into mine, her breaths coming in soft, rhythmic sighs as my hands caressed the curves that had captivated me from the start, each stroke eliciting responses that deepened our bond on a level beyond the physical. It was as if the Zarathian essence she spoke of wove through us, amplifying every gentle movement, every shared whisper of affection. We moved in harmony, our connection a symphony of tender explorations and mutual surrender, where every touch conveyed the depth of our feelings, the resilience of humanity meeting the passionate spirit of her world. Lyra's violet eyes locked onto mine, filled with a mix of vulnerability and desire, as we lost ourselves in the rhythm, her white hair spilling across the pillows like a cascade of starlit silk. The world outside, the alarms, the approaching fleet, dissolved into irrelevance, replaced by the profound intimacy that strengthened us, her soft murmurs of pleasure echoing in the chamber like a private melody meant only for us. Time seemed to stretch in that sacred space, our union a celebration of life amid the shadows of conflict, where the awkward trials and dramatic escapades of before paled against this pure, affirming closeness. Her skin against mine felt like the softest velvet, warm and responsive. And as we reached the heights of our shared passion, waves of sensation washed over us, leaving us breathless and entwined, hearts pounding in unison. It was more than physical release. It was a reaffirmation of the bond that had sparked this galactic upheaval, a quiet defiance against the forces seeking to tear us apart. As we lay there afterward, limbs tangled and breath steadying, Lyra traced lazy patterns on my chest, her pointed ears still flushed with the afterglow. "This is what we'll fight for," she said softly, her voice a soothing balm. "Not just survival, but moments like these, our love, unbreakable and true." I kissed her forehead, feeling a renewed surge of energy, the heroic fire within me stoked by her presence. But the ship's vibrations reminded us of the reality waiting beyond the door. The battle loomed, Kale's forces closing in with relentless precision. We rose reluctantly, dressing with efficient movements born of necessity, yet stealing glances and touches that carried the warmth of what we just shared. Stepping back into the corridor, the crew's urgent calls pulled us toward the command deck, but our steps were lighter, fortified by the intimacy that had recharged our spirits. The drama of the war intensified with every passing second. Scans showing Kale's armada breaching the outer defenses, their ships a swarm of dark intent. But inside, our bond burned brighter, a beacon guiding us through the storm. On the bridge, King Thaler barked orders, his advisors plotting countermeasures with holographic precision. "The human reinforcements are holding the flank," he noted, glancing at me with newfound respect. Lyra stood by my side, her hand brushing mine discreetly, a silent reminder of our private strength. As we manned our stations, preparing for the clash, the memory of our union lingered like a warm current, fueling my focus. Human ingenuity would blend with Zarathian power, turning the tide in ways Kale could never anticipate. The first volleys exchanged, lasers streaking across the void in brilliant arcs, our fleet responding with coordinated fury. In the midst of it, Lyra and I launched in our fighter once more, weaving through the fray with seamless teamwork. Her energy pulses complemented my evasive maneuvers, destroying enemy crafts in synchronized bursts. Just like before, she called over the comms, her voice laced with that familiar passion. Only stronger now. A daring run took us deep into Kale's lines, targeting a command cruiser that orchestrated the assault. Dodging fire, we infiltrated its shields, my hacks disabling defenses while Lyra's aura disrupted their systems. The ship buckled under our assault, exploding in a cascade of debris that scattered their formation. Cheers erupted from our allies, but Kale's voice crackled through, venomous. "You think your little tryst gives you power? I'll end it all." His words only solidified our resolve, the intimacy we'd shared acting as armor against his taunts. Retreating to the flagship for repairs, we shared a brief, charged look amid the crew, her violet eyes promising more stolen moments once victory was secured. The battle raged on, portals from the elders stabilizing our lines with unexpected aid, their judgment now a boon rather than a burden. As night cycles simulated on the ship, we found brief respites, our connection a constant thread weaving through the exhaustion. In one such pause, back in quarters for a hurried rest, the pull between us resurfaced, leading to another tender union that renewed our vigor without words. It was in these acts of closeness that we found the true essence of our fight, not dominance, but the preservation of love in a vast, unforgiving universe. The war's endgame drew near, Kale's forces faltering under our combined might. Earth's ships arrived in full, their rugged designs clashing beautifully with Zarathian elegance, proving humanity's place among the stars. Lyra and I, at the forefront, embodied that fusion, our bond a symbol of hope, our shared passions the fuel for triumph. Yet, as we pressed the advantage, a shadow lingered. Kale's desperation birthing new threats, alliances with darker entities whispering through comms. Our intimacy had prepared us, though, turning fear into fortitude. Together, we charged forward, the galaxy's fate intertwined with our own story of love and heroism. As Kale's forces faltered under the relentless push of our combined armada, the void lit up with the brilliant flashes of exploding vessels, each burst a testament to the fusion of Zarathian grace and human tenacity that had turned the tide in our favor. Lyra and I maneuvered our fighter through the fray, her energy pulses syncing perfectly with my calculated strikes, carving paths of destruction that scattered the enemy like leaves in a cosmic wind. The warmth of our recent closeness lingered in every glance we shared across the cockpit, a silent fuel that sharpened our focus and deepened our resolve, making the chaos outside feel almost conquerable. Earth's ships, those rugged behemoths I'd once called home, rammed through blockades with unyielding force, their captains hailing us over comms with cheers that echoed the HFY spirit. Humans, the underdogs who refused to bow, now standing tall among the stars. They're breaking formation, Lyra called out, her voice steady and exhilarated, her white hair catching the glow of the instrument panels as she adjusted our shields. I grinned, banking sharply to avoid a stray laser, the thrill of battle mingling with the afterglow of our bond. One more push, and Kale's flagship is ours. The enemy command vessel loomed ahead, a monolithic shadow bristling with weapons, its hull scarred from earlier skirmishes but still defiant. We dove in, flanked by allied fighters, the symphony of warfare reaching a fever pitch. Explosions rumbling through our hull, debris tumbling past like silent witnesses. Docking clamps engaged amid a hail of defensive fire, and we stormed aboard Kale's ship, blasters humming in our grips. The corridors were a labyrinth of dim red lights and echoing alarms, guards swarming like insects defending their hive. Lyra moved like a force of nature, her aura flaring to deflect blasts while I picked off foes with precise shots, my human adaptability turning the tide in tight quarters where elegance alone might falter. We pressed deeper, the air thick with the scent of scorched metal and desperation, each step bringing us closer to the bridge where Kale awaited. Bursting through the final bulkhead, we found him, Prince Kale, standing tall in his obsidian armor, his sharp features twisted in a snarl of rage and something unexpectedly vulnerable. The bridge was a hive of activity, consoles flickering with retreat orders, but he waved off his remaining officers, facing us alone. So, the princess and her pet human arrive at last, he sneered, his voice dripping with venom. Your little love story ends here. The galaxy will remember me as the one who restored order, not some foolish bond that shattered empires. Lyra stepped forward, her violet eyes blazing. This isn't about order, Kale. It's about chains you tried to forge. Our bond is freedom, something you'll never understand. I flanked her, weapon raised, ready for the inevitable clash. But as tension coiled like a spring, Kale's posture shifted, not to attack, but to something almost pleading. Freedom? You think this is freedom? He activated a holographic display, projecting images that froze us in place. Ancient scrolls from Zarathian archives, genetic scans, and timelines that intertwined in ways that made my stomach drop. The projections revealed a web of secrets, starting with Lyra's lineage, not just royal, but engineered. Your father, King Thaler, didn't tell you everything, Kale continued, his tone shifting from mockery to bitter revelation. Our betrothal wasn't mere politics, it was a safeguard. Zarathia's bloodline carries a latent power, one that awakens only through specific unions. But you chose him. He pointed at me, and the holograms zoomed in on my DNA profile, harvested unknowingly during our first encounter. Shock rippled through me as patterns aligned. My human genes weren't just compatible, they were the key. In a powerful twist that hit like a supernova's core collapsing, the display unveiled the truth. I wasn't fully human. Buried in my ancestry, traced back through Earth's colonization records, was a hidden Zarathian heritage. Generations ago, during early interstellar contacts, a Zarathian explorer had integrated with human settlers, their offspring blending seamlessly into Earth's population. My resilience, my inexplicable draw to Lyra, it wasn't coincidence. Our bond hadn't sparked the war by accident. It had fulfilled a prophecy, awakening a dormant hybrid power within me that threatened the old galactic order Kale clung to. Lyra gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, those delicate pointed ears flattening in disbelief. Eli, is this real? I staggered back, the world tilting as memories flashed. My unusual tolerance for space radiation on the outpost, the way her kiss had felt like coming home. It all clicked, a surprise that reshaped everything. Kale laughed bitterly. Yes, princess, your chosen is one of us, diluted but potent. Thaler knew, he sent scouts to find hybrids like him, hoping to ignite the change without admitting the truth. Your kiss didn't start the war, it revealed the lie our empires were built on. The revelation surged through me like a current, unlocking something deep inside. Energy coursed from my core, similar to Lyra's aura but rawer, more primal, a human Zarathian fusion that manifested as a protective field, shimmering around us. Guards who had crept back and hesitated, their weapons faltering against this new power. Kale's eyes widened in genuine surprise, the twist turning the tables. Impossible. The hybrids were meant to be myths. But there was no time for processing. The ship shuddered under renewed attacks from our fleet, consoles sparking as systems failed. Lyra grabbed my arm, her touch amplifying the energy between us, turning it into a weapon. "If this is true," she said, voice trembling yet fierce, "then we're stronger together than any prophecy imagined." We charged Kale, our combined auras clashing against his defenses in a dramatic flurry. He fought back with desperate ferocity, his blade humming with energy, but the surprise of my awakening gave us the edge. I disarmed him with a burst of force I barely controlled, sending him sprawling. As he knelt, defeated, another layer of the twist unfolded, a transmission from King Thaler himself, broadcasting across the ship. "Daughter, Eli, forgive the deception. The hybrids were hidden to protect them from purists like Kale. Your union fulfills what I couldn't. A new era where humans and Zarathians unite as equals." The words hung heavy, surprising even Lyra, who stared at the hologram of her father with betrayal flickering in her eyes. "You used us," she whispered. Thaler's image softened. "Not used, guided. The war was inevitable. Kale's ambitions would have crushed us. But now, with Eli's power revealed, we can end it." Outside, the battle quieted as the truth spread, enemy ships hesitating, some even defecting. Kale, broken, muttered, "All for nothing." The purity I fought for was a lie. We secured him, the adrenaline of the twist still pulsing through my veins, reshaping my identity in ways I couldn't yet fathom. Back in our fighter, racing to the flagship, Lyra leaned against me, her body warm and reassuring. "Eli, or whatever your true heritage makes you. Does this change us?" Her voice carried a vulnerability that tugged at my heart. I shook my head, the surprise settling into acceptance. "It explains us, but doesn't change us. I'm still the engineer who fixed drills under dual suns, still the one who fell for you across the stars." Our kiss was brief but charged, the new energy between us humming like a promise. The galaxy had twisted our story, but in that surprise lay opportunity, for peace, for hybrids like me to emerge, for humanity to claim its stellar birthright. Arriving on the flagship, we confronted Thaler in the war room, the council watching in stunned silence. "The truth is out," I declared, my voice steadier than I felt, the hybrid power subtly glowing around me. Advisors murmured, some in awe, others in fear, but Lyra stood firm. "Father, no more secrets. We build the future openly." Thaler nodded, regret etching his features. As it should be. With Kale captured, his forces surrendered en masse, the war's end accelerated by the twist that had upended everything. But as celebrations began, a final surprise lingered. Scouts reported other hybrids awakening across human colonies, their latent powers stirring in response to mine. The galaxy wasn't just saved, it was transformed, with me at the center of a revelation that promised endless adventures. In quiet moments aboard, Lyra and I explored this new reality, her hands tracing the faint glow on my skin, our bond deeper for the surprises it held. "You're my hybrid hero," she teased, pulling me close. The twist had surprised us all, but in its wake, love endured, a constant in the ever-shifting stars. As the revelations of my hybrid heritage settled over the flagship like a veil of newfound stars, the war room transformed into a whirlwind of activity, advisors scrambling to integrate this twist into our strategies, while distant cheers from defecting ships signaled the war's swift unraveling. Lyra and I stood at the center of it all, her hand still warm in mine, the subtle glow of my awakening power humming faintly beneath my skin like an unspoken promise of greater things. The drama of the moment pulsed through the air, Thaler's confession hanging heavy, but as we moved toward him for answers, a sudden alert pierced the tension. Scans detecting anomalous energy signatures from awakening hybrids across human colonies, their latent abilities flaring like beacons in the void. It was as if my emergence had triggered a chain reaction, pulling hidden kin from obscurity into the galactic spotlight, and the weight of that responsibility crashed down, heightening every emotion in the room. Thaler approached us, his regal bearing cracked by a rare vulnerability, his voice low amid the buzzing consoles. "Eli, the hybrids were scattered to protect them, but now they need guidance. You are the first to fully awaken. Lead them and we secure peace." Lyra's grip tightened, her violet eyes flashing with a mix of pride and protectiveness, but before I could respond, a holographic feed burst to life. Live transmissions from Earth outposts, showing confused humans suddenly manifesting Zarathian auras, objects levitating in panic, and crowds gathering in awe or fear. One feed captured a young engineer, much like my former self, accidentally blasting a wall during a routine repair, his face a comical mask of shock as debris rained down. "Well, that's one way to redecorate," I muttered, injecting a sliver of humor to cut the mounting drama, drawing a reluctant chuckle from Lyra even as her pointed ears twitched in concern. We couldn't linger. The council dispatched us immediately to a nearby colony where the awakenings were most intense, our fighter streaking through hyperspace with a small escort. En route, awkwardness crept in like an uninvited guest, Lyra quizzing me on my new abilities, her hands gesturing animatedly. "Try focusing it, Eli. Channel the energy like I do." I concentrated, willing a small orb of light into my palm, but instead, it fizzled out with a pathetic spark that singed my sleeve. "Great, now I'm a walking fire hazard," I grumbled, patting out the smoke while she laughed, her body leaning into mine in the cockpit's close confines. "You're adorable when you're fumbling, hybrid hero. Remember our first kiss? You were just as surprised." The memory warmed me, but the humor turned awkward as our escort pilot chimed in over comms. Should we give you two some space? Or is this part of the training?" My face heated, and Lyra swatted the air playfully. "Mind the stars, not our sparks." Yet the levity grounded us, a brief respite as the drama loomed larger with each jump. Arriving at the colony, a rugged human outpost on a terraformed world dotted with mining rigs and domed habitats, the scene was pure chaos, heightening the stakes to a feverish pitch. Hybrids emerged from every corner. A burly miner levitating tools in confusion, a scientist accidentally phasing through a wall, her startled yelp echoing as she popped back out covered in dust. Crowds milled about, some cheering the superpowers, others forming uneasy mobs, whispers of alien invasion from within stirring paranoia. We landed amid the turmoil, stepping out to a mix of applause and wary stares, the air thick with dust and electric tension. Lyra's royal presence drew immediate attention, her white hair and fur-trimmed attire making her stand out like a beacon, but it was my glowing aura that silenced the crowd, proof that one of their own had bridged the worlds. A local leader, a grizzled commander named Jax, approached us warily, his eyes darting between my subtle shimmer and Lyra's pointed ears. "You're the ones from the broadcasts? The princess and the hybrid." Drama escalated as a young hybrid stumbled forward, a teenage girl whose uncontrolled energy bursts had shattered nearby equipment, pleading for help. "I don't know how to stop it. Everything's exploding." Before I could respond, my own power surged sympathetically, sending a harmless wave that knocked over a stack of crates, spilling ration packs everywhere. The crowd gasped, then burst into nervous laughter as I sheepishly helped pick them up. "Smooth, Eli," Lyra teased under her breath, bending to assist, her curvaceous form drawing a few awkward whistles from the miners. Jax cleared his throat, red-faced. Welcome to the colony. Mind the crates," they bite back. We set up a makeshift training ground in the central dome, the drama intensifying as more hybrids arrived, their abilities manifesting in unpredictable ways. One man, trying to mimic Lyra's energy pulse, instead created a bubble of zero gravity that lifted a group of onlookers, including Jax, who flailed comically midair yelling, "Get me down from here. I ain't no balloon." Laughter rippled through the tension, easing fears, but the awkwardness peaked when a hybrid's aura accidentally linked with mine, projecting a holographic echo of our intimate moments. Fuzzy glimpses of kisses and embraces that had the crowd oohing and eyeing before I shut it down, mortified. "That's not part of the demo," I stammered, my glow flickering erratically while Lyra stifled giggles, her hand covering her mouth. "Well, at least they know our bond is strong." Very visual. Amid the humor, deeper drama unfolded. Reports trickling in of purist factions, remnants of Kale's allies, targeting awakening hybrids with propaganda and sabotage. One transmission showed a shadowed figure inciting riots on another colony, claiming hybrids were abominations diluting pure bloodlines. The threat hit close when a saboteur infiltrated our dome, tampering with the environmental controls to vent oxygen, forcing an evacuation. Panic surged as air thinned, hybrids' powers flaring wildly in defense, levitating debris to block vents, auras forming barriers. I channeled my energy instinctively, sealing the breach with a force field that held just long enough, but not without an awkward mishap. The field expanded too far, trapping Jax inside with a flock of escaped lab animals, the commander dodging frantic chickens while barking orders. Not the feathers. Get these cluckers off me. His indignation drew chuckles even as we neutralized the intruder, a Kale loyalist who spat defiance before capture. Interrogating him heightened the drama further. He revealed a network of holdouts plotting to assassinate key hybrids, including me, to extinguish the spark. Lyra's face paled, her protective instincts flaring as she gripped my arm. They won't touch you. We rallied the colony, turning the training into a defensive strategy session, hybrids learning to harness their gifts under pressure. Humor surfaced in unexpected ways. A hybrid discovering his power involved enhanced senses, accidentally overhearing private conversations and blurting out embarrassing secrets, like Jax's crush on a fellow officer, leading to red-faced denials and group laughter that bonded us tighter. As night fell on the colony, the dome's lights dimming to simulate stars, Lyra and I stole a moment atop an observation tower, the drama of the day weighing heavy but our bond a steady anchor. This hybrid thing. It's changing everything, I admitted, my hand tracing her delicate ear, eliciting a soft quiver. She leaned in, her body warm against the chill. For the better. You're not just mine anymore, you're a symbol. Our kiss was interrupted by a hybrid below practicing flight, zooming past us with a whoop and a crash into nearby bushes. Incoming. He yelled too late, leaves showering us as we laughed, the awkward interruption lightening the intensity. But the threats didn't sleep. Alarms wailed anew, scanners picking up incoming ships from the purists, a desperate armada bent on eradication. We scrambled to defenses, hybrids forming a makeshift force, their powers amplifying under my guidance. The battle erupted in the skies, lasers clashing with energy waves, human grit meeting Zarathian flair in explosive symphony. I led a squadron, my hybrid aura shielding allies as we outmaneuvered foes, but drama peaked when a purist vessel targeted the dome, forcing a daring intercept. Diving in, I rammed their engines, sparks flying, but the collision sent my fighter spinning, controls jammed in a hilariously timed glitch that blared colony folk music over comms. Not the polka. Lyra exclaimed through laughter, her own ship covering me as I regained control. In the fray's climax, we boarded the lead purist ship, confronting their commander, a fanatic echoing Kale's old rhetoric. Hybrids are the end of purity. He ranted, but as we dueled, my power surged, disarming him non-lethally, the aura revealing his own suppressed hybrid traits. The twist added irony, his denial crumbling into awkward surrender. I didn't know. Humor tinged the victory as he tripped over his cape in retreat, muttering curses. With the assault repelled, the colony cheered, hybrids embracing their identities. Back with Lyra, amid the celebrations, we shared a quiet embrace, the drama of awakenings forging a new alliance. You're handling this hero thing well, she whispered, her curves pressing close, even the awkward parts. I grinned. As long as you're my co-pilot. Yet shadows lingered, more purists out there, greater challenges ahead, but in that moment, humor and love balanced the scales, propelling us toward an uncertain but hopeful horizon. As the purists' defeated armada scattered into the void like fading embers, the colony's dome erupted in jubilant cheers, hybrids and humans alike raising toasts with whatever rations they could muster. Synthetic ale sloshing in cups, laughter echoing under the simulated stars that now felt a little brighter. Lyra and I stood at the heart of it, her arm looped through mine, the warmth of her body a steady reminder of how far we'd come from that fateful kiss on a remote outpost. The drama of the awakenings had forged unbreakable ties here, turning strangers into allies. And as Jax clapped me on the back with a gruff not bad for a hybrid hotshot, I felt the weight of my dual heritage settle not as a burden, but as a bridge spanning worlds. Yet even in victory, those lingering shadows whispered of unfinished business, scattered holdouts, unresolved prophecies, and the vast galaxy waiting to test our newfound unity. We didn't linger long. The flagship summoned us back, Thaler's voice crackling over comms with a mix of urgency and pride. Return, both of you. The Council awaits, the hybrid's emergence changes everything, and we must chart the path forward. Lyra glanced at me, her violet eyes sparkling with a blend of exhaustion and excitement, her white hair tousled from the battle's frenzy. "Ready to face the stars as equals?" she asked, her pointed ears perking up in that endearing way. I pulled her close for a quick kiss, tasting the salt of triumph on her lips. "With you, always." Our fighter lifted off amid waves from the colonists, the planet shrinking below as we jumped to hyperspace, the hum of engines lulling us into a brief, reflective silence. Arriving on the flagship felt like stepping into a new era. The corridors buzzed with renewed energy, Zarathian crew mingling with human reinforcements who had arrived in droves, their rugged uniforms contrasting the elegant fur-trimmed attire of our hosts. Thaler greeted us in the Grand Hall, a chamber adorned with holographic tapestries depicting ancient unions, now updated to include scenes from our saga. The Devourer's fall, the Nexus Core's retrieval, my awakening glow. The king embraced Lyra first, his voice soft with paternal warmth. "Daughter, you've brought light to our shadows." Then, turning to me, he extended a hand, not as a superior, but as an equal. "Eli, hybrid son of two worlds, you've rewritten our fates. The purists are fragmented, Kale awaits trial in stasis. But peace requires more than victories, it needs vision." The council convened around a massive crystalline table, representatives from Zarathia, Earth colonies, and even defected empires joining via holograms. Drama simmered in the debates: how to integrate hybrids, share technologies, heal the war's scars. Awkward moments arose, lightening the gravity, one human delegate mistaking a Zarathian aura display for a fireworks show, applauding wildly until corrected with chuckles rippling through the room. "Guess that's what happens when you mix rocket science with soul magic," I quipped, earning a playful elbow from Lyra. Humor bridged gaps, like when a hybrid ambassador accidentally levitated the refreshment tray, sending fruits floating in zero-grav chaos that had everyone scrambling and laughing, turning potential tension into camaraderie. As discussions deepened, I shared my story, not just the battles, but the human grit that had carried me through, fixing rigs under dual suns, dreaming of more. "We're not defined by bloodlines," I said, my voice steady, the faint glow of my power underscoring the words. "Hybrids like me prove that strength comes from blending, not purity." Lyra stood beside me, her hand on my shoulder, adding, "Our bond sparked change because it defied old rules. Let's build alliances on love, not fear." The council voted unanimously. A new galactic accord, with hybrids as mediators, Earth gaining equal status, and Zarathia opening its archives. Kale's trial would be fair, a symbol of justice over vengeance. In the days that followed, as fleets dispersed and reconstruction began, Lyra and I found stolen moments to reflect. We wandered the flagship's gardens, bioluminescent groves mimicking Zarathia's forests, where vines glowed softly under artificial moons. "Do you miss the simple life?" she asked one evening, her body leaning against mine as we sat on a mossy bench, her curves fitting perfectly into my embrace. I traced the delicate point of her ear, smiling at the familiar quiver. "The outpost? Nah. Fixing drills was fine, but this, us the stars making a difference, that's living." She turned, her lips meeting mine in a kiss that echoed our first, electric and full of promise, the galaxy's vastness feeling intimate in that shared warmth. Word spread of our union inspiring others. Hybrid couples emerging, human Zarathian exchanges flourishing. Earth sent envoys bearing gifts, robust tech that complemented Zarathian elegance, and in return, we shared aura training, fostering a renaissance of innovation. Awkward cultural mishaps became stories told over shared meals. A Zarathian diplomat baffled by human coffee, sputtering at its bitterness, or a hybrid kid levitating toys during a peace summit, turning diplomacy into playtime delight. Yet, true to the cosmos whims, a final challenge arose, not from enemies, but from within. My powers, still maturing, surged unpredictably during a routine demo for new hybrids, creating a temporary rift that pulled in harmless debris but startled everyone. "Eli's at it again, portal to the snack dimension." Lyra joked, diffusing the panic with her laughter as I closed it sheepishly. It reminded us that growth wasn't linear, but with her guidance, I mastered it, turning potential disaster into a tool for exploration. As months turned to cycles, the war's echoes faded into legend. Kale, reformed in exile, even sent a message of reluctant peace, acknowledging the hybrid's role in a balanced galaxy. Thaler stepped down, naming Lyra and me as co-regents of the Accord, a human hybrid and Zarathian princess leading side by side. Our wedding, held on a neutral world under twin suns, blended traditions. Earth's vows exchanged amid Zarathian aura dances, guests from across stars witnessing our bond's culmination. Jax officiated with gruff humor. By the powers of grit and glow, I pronounce you hitched. Now kiss before I get sappy. In the quiet after, on our honeymoon aboard a sleek cruiser charting unexplored sectors, Lyra and I stargazed from the observation deck, her head on my chest, white hair spilling like moonlight. From acclaimed engineer to galactic hero, she murmured, her hand tracing patterns on my skin where the hybrid glow pulsed softly. And you, from runaway princess to beacon of change, I replied, pulling her closer. Our love, once a spark of war, had become a flame of hope, illuminating paths for countless others. The galaxy, vast and ever mysterious, held more adventures, new alliances, distant threats, wonders untold. But with Lyra by my side, every horizon felt inviting. Humanity's fuck yeah spirit, fused with Zarathian passion, promised a future where differences weren't divides, but strengths. As our ship sailed into the unknown, hand in hand, we knew. This wasn't an end, but a beginning written in the stars we'd claimed together. And that's how Eli and Lyra's epic journey reshaped the stars, proving that love and humanity's unbreakable spirit can conquer even the vastest voids. If this tale of alien romance, heroic twists, and galactic wars kept you hooked, hit that like button to show your support. It means the world to us here at X-Aurel. Don't forget to subscribe for more HFY Sci-Fi adventures, share this video with fellow space enthusiasts, and drop a comment below. What would you do if an alien princess claimed you? Your thoughts fuel our next stories. Thanks for watching, explorers. Stay stellar, and we'll see you in the next nebula.